Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to part 3 of a WordPress child theme creation tutorial. I'm Max with A1 Website Pro, and this particular tutorial is going to assume that you've completed both parts 1 and 2. I have them in videos, and I also have the files on my website. You'd have to be subscribed on my website, but you'll be able to see everything in full on video to complete this tutorial. Alright, so what's the advantages of having a child theme? The advantages of having a child theme is when a parent theme updates, you're not going to suffer from that, because let's say that you go in and make a bunch of changes to a parent theme. As soon as it gets updated, all those changes get overwritten. But whenever you create a child theme, everything stays intact. It doesn't overwrite your child theme. So that's an important part of having a child theme. If a parent theme has mostly what you need and you decide to do a child theme, you don't have to worry about whenever the parent theme updates. Okay, so here's the files from the last lesson. If you go to the website here, part 3 in the post, you could download the child theme from the last one. This will get you up to speed. And then you could load that into your browser, load it into your local WAMP server, and then we'll be ready to rock and roll from there. So you've already learned that when you create a style sheet in your child theme, it's going to take precedence over the parent theme. Well, how does that work? Well, if we actually look at this website right here, A1 Website Pro, let me show you how it works. Okay, so if we go down here through the code and we look at the style sheets, I'm going to hit Control F and just type in style.css, and that'll get me to the style sheets. So we see we have a lot of style sheets here. So now a child theme style sheets will be called last on this page, which means that it'll take precedence. So if this particular style sheet right here, let's say, had the same command as this style sheet above it, this particular style sheet that's on the bottom will override whatever this one brings in if they're doing the exact same commands, because a computer reads from the top down, and that would be the last bit of information it gets. So if this particular style sheet right here on top has the exact same command as this one below, the one underneath of it will take precedence, and it will obey those commands. Okay. Now there are exceptions, like whenever you put important on the end of a command that we'll be discussing later, and then it'll override that. Maybe the top one will override the bottom. But we'll show you how to debug all that. But for the majority, the style sheet that's on the bottom, that's called after the preceding one, this one will take precedence. Okay? All right. So in this particular lesson, we're going to be learning about files in child themes, like copy. And in this particular one, we're going to be copying the header.php, and we're going to put a widget in it and show you how it works. But you could do it with all of them. So what we're going to do here is, continuing on from the last lessons, we're going to navigate to the parent theme in your text editor, or we're using Notepad++ in here, but if you're on a Mac, you'd be using, BB Edit, TextMate or whatnot, but we're using Notepad++. So let me go ahead and bring this over here, so I'll follow along with the lesson. Now, how I get this window here in Notepad++ is if I go to Plugins and I go down to here to Explorer right here, then that window will appear. Now, if you don't see that in your plugins, you're going to have to go and install it from your Plugins Manager, Show Plugins Manager, and look for the Explorer. So now you guys will be working in something called Childs, is what you should be working in, or Child. I'll be working in Childs, which is an exact replica or copy of it. And this is what we should look like right now. Okay, so these are from the changes that we did in the last lesson, where we colored this blue and so on and so forth. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and navigate to our child's theme, open this up, WP content, themes, okay, and here's where we have the parent theme, which is 2013, and the child theme that we're working on. If we want to load those files, we can load them right underneath here. So I'm going to follow along with this lesson here. And what we want to do is double click on the header.php file in the parent theme. So let's go to the parent theme and let's go down here to where it says header.php, and we're going to load that in there. And we're going to copy all of this code here. So we're going to hit Control A, Control C on our keyboard. We're going to go to our child theme, and we're going to make another file in here. We're just going to call it header.php, just like in the parent theme, okay? But remember, it's going to be called in last, so it's going to take precedence. Now we could go in here and edit anything in our child theme. So hit Control S, we'll save that. And we'll be able to edit in here and do the things that we want to do to it. Okay, now to avoid confusion, we have the header.php file from our parent file here and our child one here. We just want to close this one out, okay, because we're just going to be working in this. All right, so we already copied everything into our child theme, and we made a file called header.php. Now, what we're going to do is, if we look at the code in our header.php file and our child theme, and we come down here and we see under the body tag here there is an H1 tag. And do you see this H1 tag on line 37? Well, let's say that you wanted to make that an H2 tag, because if you have a bunch of H1 tags in a website page, then that's bad for SEO, because the title of your posts and articles become H1 tags. So you want to make this like an H2 or an H3. So let's just go ahead and change that in our child theme, and it will change it throughout. And so what we'll do is make that happen. And let's go ahead and load our child theme. See, right now if we right click and inspect this element, we look down here, it's an H1. But since we edited it, we're going to refresh the page. Okay, right click, inspect element. You see now we have an H2 tag here. So that's just, that's a very minor thing what you can do whenever you have a child theme. But we're going to do something a little bit major here. So you're going to actually get 2 lessons for the price of 1. We're going to go ahead and we're going to make a widget in our header.php. So there's a few different steps to this. There's many reasons why you might want to put a widget up here at the top, okay? And so I listed just 3 reasons. So maybe you want to put an ad at the top of your website, or maybe you want your Google Analytics code at the top of your website and you don't want to go in and edit the file every time. Or maybe you want to do a site-wide message up here, just a message or something like that. So we all know what the widget area looks like in the dashboard, don't we? Or you should. So I'm just going to go ahead and log into this widget area right here in the dashboard so you can see what we're working with here. Of course, I'm dealing with it on a local host. Now you could be editing these files via FTP on a server. It would work the same way. Okay, so we go to Appearance, and then we go to Widgets. Okay. And so here we have 2 widget areas. We have a main widget area and a secondary widget area. We can see that nothing's in the secondary widget area, but we have these things in our main widget area. Well, we're going to make another one so that it appears up in the header here. Okay? So there are 5 different steps that we have to take to get a widget into our header. So there's 5 different things that we have to do. Number 1, we have to edit a functions.php file in our child theme. We have to add a sidebar /head PHP file. We need to place the widget code in our header.php file. We need to insert a widget and style a widget. Now we already copied our header.php file. Remember, we copied it from the parent theme to our child theme. We went in there and we edited the H2 tag. So what we want to do is we want to navigate to our functions file in our parent theme. And we're going to be looking for a code that looks like this, register sidebar. So what does that look like? So if we go to our parent theme, which is 2013, let's go down here to functions.php. Let's load it up, and let's scroll down here. Let me make this a little bit wider so it's easier for you to see. Okay. And we're going to scroll down. We're looking for the widget area where the function adds the widget in the back end. So let me scroll down here. Another fast way when you're working in these editors is if you hit Control F and you type in like widget, all right, and then it'll find it faster for you. Okay, so here's the two widgets that we're looking for, and this is the exact code that we want. So what we want to do, we don't want this section, we just want this section right here where it says register sidebar array, like this here. We want to right click and copy that, okay? The next thing we want to do is just close this out so we don't get confused. Load up your child one. Remember the functions that we did in the last lesson to make the child theme? We want to go after this curly bracket and paste this in here. And basically what we want to do, we want to make a couple of changes. And I made the changes for you on the website. If you scroll down here, this is the completed code. So what you can actually do is click right here, hit Control A inside, copy this, and then in your text editor, instead of pasting that, you can paste this. But what we did is we changed a couple things. We made this header widget area, and we changed the sidebar ID from 1 to 3. Okay, so that's what we did. And you don't have to have these spaces in here. If you have those spaces, just make sure that all the quotes and everything like that are in there, okay? So I don't like spaces in PHP code, but that just comes from years of programming. Anyway, if it's read like this, you have to hit Control S or hit this little thing right here, and it'll save it. So what did this particular thing do? Okay, just by adding this little function in our child theme, I want to show you what happens on the back end here. Now in the widgets, we had the main widget area, secondary widget area, but let me refresh the page. And you'll see we have a syntax here on line 10. So let me go ahead and deal with this syntax error. Okay. Do you see this and GT? That's, if you ever get it something like that, that means in the word, whenever I save this code in the WordPress file, it didn't save that right. It tried putting in it tried putting in HTML code for, you know, carrots to the right and carrots to the left. So let me go ahead and fix that for you right now before anybody else copies this code and says, hey, what the hell, Max? It's not working for me. So let me go ahead and fix that for you right now. Okay, now I got it fixed. So we're going to go here. We're going to copy all this, just like this here. Go to our editor, and where WordPress was trying to put in those HTML tags, we're going to paste that with the right one. We're going to save it. And then let's go back to our child theme where the widgets are and refresh. Okay, so now you see that we have the header widget area appears in the header section of the site. Well, you may say, well, Max, how did you get that in there? Well, if we go look at our functions, okay, now I changed this. See where it says header widget area? If we go back to the WordPress, you see where it says header widget area right there. And if we go here, the description, where it says the description array, appears in the header section of the site. So if we go back to the WordPress, you can see it says appears in the header section of the site. Now, if we put anything in there now, nothing will happen. I mean, we could go ahead and let's throw a calendar in there, just like that. We go test and we save it. You'll notice on the front end, if we refresh, nothing happens. Well, that's because we have to do a couple more things. Now, I'm going to go ahead and delete that and follow along with our tutorial here. We need to add a sidebar -head.php file. And we're going to put this code in there. So I'm going to go ahead and click like this, hit Control A, copy it. Then I'm going to go to my child theme, hit new file, go sidebar -head.php, just like that. Click OK. And then we're going to paste that code that I had in my clipboard, and we're going to go ahead and save this file. Okay, now I want you to notice that I changed this from a 1 to a 3. Because this is going to be like the third sidebar that we had. I also changed the div ID to head wid, short for header widget, and the class to sidebar head. I left the role as complementary. And the class, of course, is widget area. All right? So that's what we have. So we have the functions file that calls it in the back end. This sidebar head is where the widget is going to be stored. So whenever we put a widget in in our dashboard. It's going to be stored in this particular file. Okay, so that's what we did there. Now we need to place the widget code where we want it to appear in the header. So this little code right here where it says get sidebar head, we're going to need it. All right, so let's copy this particular code. And this tells it what sidebar to get. So we're going to go to our header.php file. What we want to do is we want to look for the opening body tag in this page here. And what we'll do is we'll paste that line of PHP code. And this particular thing tells the script where to get it. And it's looking for head. Now you may ask, well, how does it do that? You know, get sidebar head. Well, in our functions, notice we gave it the name of header widget area. So it's looking for head here, okay, under the name. All right, it's not looking for the ID or description. It's looking for the name. And so it's looking for this particular syntax, this particular string, okay. And then in sidebar head, we're using the ID, sidebar, dynamic sidebar 3, okay. So that's what we want. That's what we want to use in the header. So it's looking for the head element. So now let's go ahead, go back to our widget area. We're going to go ahead and refresh this page. All right, and let's take a text widget. Now you can add a text widget from WordPress a couple different ways. You could click on it here, and you want to add it to go like this, or you can drag and drop it. And so let's type it, call this my custom widget, okay. And then well, what did I say to put on here in the post here? So let's go ahead. This is my custom widget. So let's put this is my custom widget, just like that. And then what we're going to do is click save. Now after we completed all this, let's go ahead and visit the site and look at it. Now we can see my custom widget. This is my custom widget. Appears at the top of the page. Okay, so we were able to go in and edit the header.php file, edit our functions.php file, and add a file in our child theme, and therefore be able to call, you know, our custom widget. Okay. So what's the final step? Now we can style the widget. What we want to do is open our style sheet and take these particular commands right here. We'll just go ahead and grab them like this here, copy. And let's go ahead and go back to our Notepad++. And in our style sheet, we're just going to simply go down here to the bottom. Let me bring up the bottom here so you can see what's going on. All right. And I'm going to add that line of code right here. Okay, so that way it appears in the browser. So whenever I go to the child theme, I'm going to refresh it just like this. Then I'm going to right click, inspect element, and now I'm going to look for that div ID of head wid. And notice the commands that we put in there. Now we're ready to add some commands in here. Now I have a few quick commands. You could put whatever you want in there. But I'm going to grab these particular ones right here. Copy. Notice I'm inside here. We're going to be pasting that in there in just a second. But just to give you a refresher on what we did on the second lesson, I'm going to paste those commands in there. Now notice it says my custom widget. Now we can continue to edit. We can change the background color to red or whatever we want to do here. But as soon as we refresh, we know that we lose all the changes because we have to put this stuff in our style sheet. Okay, so let's go ahead and put those commands in that I wanted in there. All right, let's go here. We're going to hit Control A, copy. And let's go to our style sheet in our Notepad++. And what I'm going to do is just paste those commands in there, and then I'm going to save the file. Okay, I'm going to come back here to my child theme, right, and refresh it, and voila, now we've styled that widget. Now you could use this top widget for just about anything you want. If you're putting ads in there or whatnot, you could do anything you want to there. Okay, so this kind of wraps up what what I was trying to accomplish. But what we want to remember is that we could copy any files from a parent theme and use them to our advantage. We can copy the functions file, edit them, make them work for us. We can also copy any file from a parent theme. Once again, there are several of them. So here's a small list. The page.php files, when a user creates a page. So whenever he goes new here and it creates a new page, we can edit that file on how that appears. The single.php file that you see in the back of WordPress is whenever a user creates a new post. Okay? And then the category.php file is whenever people are looking at a list of categories. Okay? Archive file, it's like categories, only it shows a list of monthly, yearly, and daily archives that you made. The comments.php file, you can style it the way you want. The index page. It goes on and on. So there are several files in a theme that you can style. Then let's just take a look at them. So if we look at this parent theme, all these files that we have here, we can take and copy and add them to our child theme and make the edits accordingly. Okay, and still take advantage of having a parent theme that has all the security patches, updates, and maybe we're just satisfied with the way they look, so we're just going to leave them like that. So that's another advantage of having a child theme. So we're going to go into more child theme and how to make them work for you. Add a little WooCommerce and how to integrate WooCommerce with it. And so I hope you're enjoying these tutorials and learning something. Please, if you have any questions or comments, add them below here. I'd be more than happy to answer your questions. Thanks. Bye.